Welcome to the Dental Decoders podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Rogars, and I'm here to help you crack the code on all things dental operations. Each week, we dive into topics to help you overcome roadblocks, streamline operations, and reduce team burnout. Whether you're an owner, a practice manager, or a team member, this podcast is for you. Join us for insightful discussions, engaging interviews, and practical tips. So sit back and relax as we crack the code on all things dental operations together. Good morning, Decoders. As always, I'm super thankful that you decided to check out this week's episode of the Dental Decoders podcast. This week, I am talking to Navid Moosa, who is a dear friend of mine. I am so excited to be able to bring him on the show and introduce him to our listeners. He is not in the dental field, which, as you know, is something I'm passionate about bringing onto this show or bringing into this show. So our dental leaders can connect with people who are outside of the dental realm and find maybe a tip or a trick that's something that maybe isn't super common in the industry or an outside perspective that they can bring into their practice. Navid is a real estate investor turned entrepreneur and serial investor. For the past 20 years, Navid has created or partnered with multiple businesses to create and build sustainable systems for business owners to truly enjoy the business that they created and the amazing life and community that benefits from it. One of the things that I really love most about anytime I chat with Navid is that he has this amazing mindset that he brings into whatever business he is working on. This man wears all of the business hats. I don't know that I know anyone who owns as many businesses as he does, but still manages to put his family first. And that's something that I really admire about him and that I know our listeners can value from, because this elusive work-life balance is something that we're all chasing. So he gives us a lot of tips on how to build a business that is going to operate in a way that works and meets all of your goals, but also still prioritize your life outside of your job. So I'm super excited to have him on the show, and I cannot wait for you guys to check out this episode. Hi, Navid. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of Dental Decoders podcast. I am so excited to be chatting with you today.
Hey, Brittany. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Navid is a friend of mine through our mastermind group, and I could not wait to get him on a call so you guys can hear all of the great things that Navid is up to and all of the tips he has. Navid is awesome. I can just sum it up and say that Navid is awesome. Navid, I have a question for you, and I ask this at the end of every episode normally, but I always find that it is repetitive. So I want to start this episode by doing something super different and trying it at the beginning of the episode to see how that works.
Okay.
So no pressure. But so my question is, what would you define as your decoding moment or your secret code that unlocked doors for you and really was super beneficial to your career and your lifestyle?
I would say being humble.
Ooh, good
Um,
one.
I would say being humble because there was a point where I felt I was alone, where I couldn't learn anything no matter what networking event or room I had gone to, whatever. So I'm like, I'm not learning anything. I guess I know everything, which obviously I know wasn't true. But once I realized, and it's going to sound a little bit like I'm bragging, but once I realized I was a big fish, I had to realize I was a big fish in a small pond. I needed to change my pond,
Mm,
right? And so then I had to make myself the small fish again, essentially. And then that's where the humbleness comes in. Once you can say, okay, you don't know everything, you just know everything of the rooms you keep putting yourselves in. So start
yeah.
to going different rooms and then grow that way. So I would say humbleness is going to be the coding moment.
I can relate to that so much. I also had to put myself into some different rooms because my rooms just weren't serving me anymore. So I can really relate to that. I'm glad you were able to make that decision and pivoted so we were able to connect and meet.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. I want to ask you on the same kind of trail of being humble and being kind of aware of the people around you and that are no longer maybe the right people to have in your
Yeah.
circle. You
Mhm.
are a man who of many businesses. You are a business owner at heart, 100%. How have you found that type of lifestyle that you're living where you have all these projects going on and you have a busy schedule or you have the potential to have a busy schedule? How has that impacted the relationships and that you're in now?
Oh, I mean, it's both impact. It's negative and positive. It's positive in a way of because it's over half a dozen businesses that I either have started or have been a part of. And out of all those businesses, because there's so many different employees, that's so many different mindsets and mentalities and personalities, right? So sometimes I can run across an employee on one particular job site or one particular business that I've never run across before. So to me, that's a learning moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I know when if another business hires a person of this sort of personality, now I know how to deal with it,
Mm.
right? And at the same time, then I can say, hey, listen, this person is good for business A, and I don't know. Well, okay, you know what? They're doing really good in this position in business A. Let me see if this same type of person can go into business B. It just doesn't work. Operations isn't operations as far as
Yeah.
from construction or food truck, whatever. That's what it's affected, right? It's made me kind of look at everybody the best I can evenly, right? Without number one, excuse me, without prejudging anybody,
Mm-hmm.
without making any notions that, well, this person HR of this department is like this, so this person of HR in of this company is like this. That's not the case. Everybody is unique, and it sounds like a Captain Obvious statement. I understand that, but until you actually live it and go through it, I personally didn't realize how many assumptions I made about
Yeah.
people,
Mm-hmm.
until you're like, oh wait, okay, they're not okay, okay, and then and that's helped me. It's helped me in my relationships personally, as well, because I can then relate like I have two kids, and I'm like, okay, I see this mentality over here. I've seen this, or I've never seen this, so I can kind of go back and forth and take a bit of everybody and saying aha aha aha,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just learning it really. But I would say that's the effect is both negative and positive. It's positive because I can learn different people, and it is negative in a sense of where you are always constantly learning new things, and then you're like, let me apply this to this, and it doesn't work out. And really, if that one person is just that one particular portion of their life or their career or whatever, you could lose that person. And to me, I always look at myself. I always look at myself. I always make sure that I do something correct. So if somebody quits, I take that personal. I can't fire anybody. I just don't know how to do it, which is why I hire people to fire somebody if I needed to. But at the same time, they have to come to me and say, "Hey, we got to let this person go." But why? Why do we give them every possible tool to succeed before we have to let them go? Because you're not just letting that person go; you're letting an income to that family no longer be provided. And I take my staff. It's over 40. It's like 60 people, sort of. I take that very personal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They rely on my ideas and what I put in to help provide for their family. So that's my family too, in a way. So that's the negative side. You have to just say, okay, it's a business, it's not personal, but it's hard. It's hard. 20 years and I still find it difficult.
I'm glad that it's not just me that happens to, and it's a universal thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have all of these businesses and all of these employees, and you said you're a dad, you've got two kids. How do you manage all of that and still keep your head above water? I know for myself, I have one business, and some days I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a nap. How do you manage it all?
Um, so two things. Number one, my faith, my religion. I'm a practicing a Muslim, which I study Islam. I found a lot of solace in that, in peace. And the other one is physical fitness. Me going to the gym is as ordinary or as part of my routine as breathing or drinking water. If I do not go to the gym, my day's thrown off. My meetings are horrible. My phone calls are horrible. Everything just doesn't work out. So I guess the essence would be to your question, having a routine. Now, that routine doesn't come about Monday morning at 9 o'clock. it comes across multiple mornings, multiple days, and you have to understand. I just had this conversation last night with a friend who's starting her own business. And I told her, I said, look, you're not going to find your routine overnight. It's going to adjust. What you cannot do is, or what you should do rather, is understand your routine is a mere template. So
Yes.
what I mean is, if my routine is getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do XYZ, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, okay, that's my routine. But like today, my niece is sick. Her mom called and said, "Hey, I can't miss work, but she can't go to school." I was like, "I'll cancel my appointments." I was like, "Drop her off here." So I'm taking care of my niece today. But my life didn't go all upside down,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? It was a template. My template said 9 o'clock this, 11 o'clock this, whatever. Make the phone call, say, "Hey, sorry, something came up, need to reschedule. Thank you for understanding." As business owners, I think we're very hard on ourselves because our motor's always high. And because we have this expectation of ourselves to be damn near perfect and execute, we feel that we cannot screw up anything at any given time, because if we do, the sky's falling, the world's going to stop rotating. That's not the case. It's okay. It's okay. So creating a template, creating some sort of routine, no matter if it's faith based, religion based, or health based, dog based, it doesn't matter. Something that keeps you grounded, rotated around that. And then your business will kind of, because remember, you're an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
You're in business for yourself. So if you're a business for yourself, well, create it how you want to create it. And if that means you want to be done at 2 o'clock on the afternoon because you want to watch General Hospital on ABC, then you're done at 2 o'clock in the afternoon watch General Hospital. That was my, yeah, and I say that because my mom was at three o'clock General Hospital. I could, if I call my mom at 3 o'clock, she will not answer the phone. I know she won't because she's watching General Hospital. So no one calls mama from 3 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday because she
That's
won't answer
adorable.
the phone. That's her routine. That's
Yeah.
her routine.
Hmm.
But that's all I can tell you is find something that grounds you. Two things, not one, two things. Find two things that ground you and rotate around them.
I love that. I have a lot of guilt that comes along for me personally when my template, when my routine has to pivot. I feel just like this weird amount of unnecessary guilt because nobody cares about it as much as I do.
That's
So
right.
that's one thing that I'm currently working on. And one thing that's really helped me with that is starting to build the right team to have my back through those things. And actually it came, the biggest piece of advice that I got when it came to building my team came from you when you were talking about like the 80%
Oh
rule,
yeah.
and how if I find an employee who can do things at 80% capacity, I need to be cool with that. Can you talk about that a little bit here? Because I know, especially in the dental industry, there's a staffing crisis, and trying to find the right people to fill the right seats is super hard. So having any sort of tools or tips they can implement to find the right people and put them in the right seats, I think would be really valuable.
Yes, actually, ironically, my dentist, he lost like several of his staff and he's this and whatever. So
Mhm.
he pivoted. His pivot was, ironically, he and I, we do golfing together. And he said, "What do I do? I'm losing people left and right. When I hire somebody, they suck. I got to do this or whatever." And I said, similar to what I just said before, I was like, find something and stick with it. And he was like, "Well, I don't understand." I said, "Okay, what are your hours?" So, as business owners, we create things based off of what we know at that moment in time.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we do have a staffing crisis shortage amongst a lot of places. In this specifically, you're talking about dentistry. Just think of it as a reset button. Okay. So with him, I said, okay, you have, for example, Monday through Friday, 8:30 in the morning till 5 p.m., but you had 7 employees. You now have 4 employees. You cannot take those 4 employees and stretch them out over that time. That means you need to eliminate some hours. That also means you're going to eliminate some customers, which is a financial impact as well. And I understand that. And I get it. But understand the customers that stick with you are the ones that are going to go with you no matter where you go. And those who you lose because of the time, okay. You mean to tell me you didn't get this far without going through other crises that you didn't manage? You mean to tell me when you started up, you weren't told no by blenders and banks and other companies? Everyone has faced adversity in the past, in the beginning. But because we were so gung ho, we broke through those moments of adversity to get where we are now. We were on easy street for such a long time. They were like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Whoa, take a deep breath. You got people coming through. You still have 80% retention of your
Mhm.
clientele, or 70% retention of your clientele. Yes, you lost a good portion of your workforce. It's okay, you just adjust. If you had two clients for every one person, then maybe it's 1 to 1, maybe it's 3 to 1. Fill it out. But that what I was telling you at the conference was, as business owners, we want what we set up from day one to be run just like that from day one by everybody else. Doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
If we don't evolve, our business isn't going to evolve. So when we see a retention crisis of employees, when we see insurance costs going up or insurance claims being declined, those are just moments of us, okay, this part of my business I had, it's not being tested. Is it going to break, or can we adjust it and keep moving from there?
Mhm.
Right? We don't have time to go, woe is me, and go in a corner. We just don't. Right? So to me, when I hear moments of adversity, no matter what industry, I take that as a test. I take that, okay, if I think I'm the shit, if I think I know everything, well, bring it on, motherfucker. Let's test this thing.
Preach.
Test it. Yeah, bring it
Yes.
on, right? And if
Mhm.
it breaks, it breaks. Thank you. You just showed me that I'm not the man I thought I was, but I'm going to now come back and make it and fill those holes in,
Yeah.
right? So that's how you have to keep working it, right? That 80-20 rule is, understand, you just got to take 80% of it. That's it. If 20% falls by the wayside, let it fall by the wayside. It's okay. You'll make it up some way, somehow. That's
Mhm.
entrepreneurial spirit in us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of the entrepreneur spirit, you are Mr. Unemployable. So I want to talk about that. There are a lot of dentists coming out of school right now, or even that have been associates in practices for a while, and they're starting to toy with this idea of starting their own practice.
Okay.
Now, on paper and in theory, it sounds being an entrepreneur sounds great. Like I can set my own schedule, I can take all the vacations. What are some things that people who are not entrepreneurs currently, but are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, starting their own practice, whatever the case may be, should be thinking about themselves, looking internally on before they make a decision to kind of make that big leap and open their own practice or start their own business?
It's your why. Why are you doing it? Right. So a lot, again, it's sexy. I'm an entrepreneur. Woo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does that sexy come with? Right?
Yep.
Is and that's what you have to look at. There's always a yin for yang, right? So if you're someone who's, hey, I just got in, I'm gonna start my own thing. Okay, why do you want to start your own thing? After the question, well, I want to set my own hours. Okay, what are those hours? Well, I just want to work Mondays, Wednesdays, and third. I want 3 days a week, 4 hours a day. Great, not a problem. Can you make a living off of those 3 days a week, 4 hours a day? Oh, no, no, no. I really
Mm-hmm.
can't. Okay. So maybe you shouldn't work. So you work for yourself. How about you work more? Oh, that's great. Who's going to handle IT? Who's going to handle your claims? Who's going to handle you finding a building for leasing? Who's going to handle your lease agreement? Who's going to handle renewing your contracts? Are you going to do all that? Because remember, you're a dentist. You have that DDS behind your name from 9 to 5. What are you
Yep.
going to do from 5:30 to 10? That paperwork that's sitting there piling up because you want all that money coming in? Think about those things, right? So if anyone who's watching this and is thinking about going into their own, I'm not saying not to do it. What I'm saying is, understand, maybe talk to you, talk to somebody who is an owner and say, hey, how long have you been doing this? What made you do it? And what are some things you wish you could hit the reset button on or the reboot button on, right? So money is the biggest thing. The funny thing is, being unemployable, right? So the thing unemployable, I can't work for anybody else. I can't do it. I'm a horrible employee. If you hired me, you would fire me in 20 minutes. Okay, I'm horrible. I'm serious. I'm so lazy. It's not even funny. But the whole idea is that most employees leave their job because they feel they can do their manager's or boss's job. And they feel, well, I'm smarter than them, but I'm never going to get a promotion. I don't get paid what I'm worth. I'm going to do my own thing. So what do? They go ahead and do their own thing. But doing their own thing means they're working all kind of crazy shifts and hours,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's fine. And then you realize, well, this is crazy. I have to make sure I control my time. So now you left a job to create your own business, only to give yourself a job again.
Yep. I see you looking
That's
at
it.
me.
That's it, right? Then you left to give yourself a job again. But it's different because it's your job.
Hmm.
You created it. No one gave it to you. You created this job for you. So that is different. So I would say the long answer, if you're someone looking to go on for yourself, don't do it right off the back. Get the experience at another office at first. Take what you can absorb, ask questions you can ask, and use them. Use the paycheck you're getting. Use that paycheck and stock away and save away and save away and save away, and then go ahead and do it. We had the discussion about the other stuff, business loans and that loans and whatever was the best route to do. We had that really in-depth discussion about it. And by the way, I think you made a fantastic decision on that one.
Thank
That
you.
one you told me that was a great one you did. But that's just part of it, right? Everyone thinks it's sexy to be an entrepreneur, and it is 20 years in. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say
not
it's not
20
yet for
days in. Not
me.
20 days in. Not
Yeah,
20 days in it ain't sexy. Not even a year to it. Unless you got rich auntie, someone gonna give you a whole bunch of money outside that, which I think most of us don't do or have.
100%. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. And I think there are some, especially like in my industry, there are some unique ways to kind of meet in the middle of being a solo practitioner, owning your own practice, and being an employee. You can maybe be a partner associate. You could buy into the practice you're already in. You could expand the practice you're already in, open another location that maybe you run. There's so many different opportunities and ways for you to build up the skill set that you may not know that you need, because when you're an associate, a lot of what you're doing is teeth. When you're a business owner, a lot of what you're doing is operations and people management. And do you want to be the one that puts out all those fires? And how can you put out all those fires? And you don't know what you don't know. So I definitely agree that maybe starting in a different practice, or even hiring a coach who specializes in startups or
Oh, there
new
you go.
new
Yeah, there you go.
practices. Any of those things are really unique ways that you can bridge the gap and learn the skills that you maybe don't have. Like you said, you're in somebody's mouth from 9 to 5. How are you going to have the time to also manage that business on the back end? And if you want to, more power to you. I 100% applaud being an entrepreneur. I think it's the best thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah.
But make sure you know what you're getting into before you do it. Don't rage quit your job like some of us and then wind up starting a business because you need
Yes.
one.
Yes. Yeah. And listen, a lot of people are gonna do it. I mean, again, 80-20 rule.
Yep.
Maybe 20% would listen to your advice that you're giving here. The other 80% like, no, I'm not her. I can do it. I'm better than her. Whatever. Okay, rock out. Best of luck to you. That's all you can
Fingers
say.
crossed. Yeah, like I hope that works for you. I want to be wrong. And I'm definitely not encouraging anybody to not start their own practice. I'm just encouraging them to take maybe a step back and look at all
Yeah.
the things that go into that you're not taught in dental school.
Yeah, no. And this is an entrepreneurship, dental school, visionary, it doesn't matter. There's like the four pillars I teach, MDTA, mindset, discipline, time, action, time management, and action. The first three are very, very hard. The last one is the hardest. It's the action. It's that
Mhm.
action piece that's the hardest part. And that's where like a lot of entrepreneurs, what's this, like 90, I don't know, 97, 96%, that's where they fail because they don't take action. It's not like they fail at the action, they just fail to take the action.
Mm.
Right. So in this case, you're telling them, hey, listen, I encourage you to do it, but like you said, don't rage quit and say, I'm out of here. I'm doing my own thing.
Mhm.
No, it's listen, it's okay to be upset, take a deep breath, woosah, and then and collect yourself and say, okay, why are you really upset? Is it really that bad? If it is that bad, okay, just take what you just some nuggets and maybe get another temporary job somewhere else in the same field, take some more nuggets in and then create your own stuff. But I'm telling you, it's tough. It's not made for everybody. Your skin.
I'm in
That's
year
all I
2
can
of
say.
this, so I feel that very much. Yes.
Hey man, I got done pulling out my hair. I just shaved it off. I was done pulling it out.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
done.
that I would rock that look as well as you do.
Yeah.
So Naveed, if people want to get in touch with you and they want to learn more about your pillars or they relate to your unemployable mindset, how can they find you and how can they learn more about what you do or potentially work with you?
They can just go to Instagram. It's at the Navid Moosa. They can find me there on LinkedIn as well. So I have the same handle. They can always just go to our website, navidmusa.com, and send me an email there and say, hey, Brittany sent me. And that's totally fine. But I think what you're doing is great. I know I've been part of that journey from a year ago when we first met at the mastermind, and you and your husband are awesome people. You
Oh,
guys are
thank you.
great. And I'm so happy. I got that text. I remember seeing that message. I was just so happy for you guys. It's unbelievable. Your story, the things that you're doing, how to you it's not fastly growing. You're like, oh man, it's taking a long
It's taking
time.
forever.
But I from the very very rare interactions we have had and see you grow, Brittany, it's been amazing, and I can't wait to see because it's just started. That's the beauty of what you're doing. You just started, right? So to anyone listening to this podcast, or if you know Brittany outside of this, just keep in contact with her. Continue to pick her brain. Continue to ask her questions. And I'm telling you, you're an amazing individual. You guys are cool people. I can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you so much. It was
Yeah.
been so great chatting with you, and I'll see you in a couple months in Austin. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Dental Decoders podcast. We hope you took away a valuable piece of information. As always, don't forget to rate, share, and subscribe to help us build our community of dental decoders. We look forward to seeing you for next week's episode.